A mobilization that escalates the conflict in the Gulf has just gained momentum in Iran. The Iranian agency MER, citing a source interviewed by Tasnim, stated on Thursday, March 26, that more than 1 million fighters have been organized for a possible ground battle against United States forces. The same source said that there was a rush of young people to recruitment centers run by the Basij, the Revolutionary Guard, and the Iranian army to take part in the defense of the territory. What is happening, therefore, is more than just empty rhetoric. This call comes precisely as Washington expands its military options. Reuters reported that the Pentagon is considering sending up to 10,000 additional troops to the Middle East, after already preparing to send 3,000 to 4,000 troops from the 82nd Airborne Division to the region. At the same time, the United States government keeps Marines and other forces on standby, which reinforces in Tehran the view that a ground operation cannot be ruled out. Where does this tension become more dangerous? In southern Iran, around the Strait of Hormuz and Karg Island. Karg accounts for about 90% of Iran's oil exports. That's why, when Tehran talks about gathering 1 million people against an invasion, the message is not just military, it's also economic. Because any ground advance or attempt to take strategic points could push energy prices even higher and increase the global shock. How? This call is being presented by the Iranian side as a direct response to the risk of an invasion from the south and to an attempt by the United States to reopen Hormuz under military pressure. The source cited by MER even said that Washington wants to open the strait with a suicidal and self-destructive tactic, and stated that Iran is ready both to keep the strait closed and to confront troops on the ground. In other words, Tehran is trying to show that it will not accept a foreign military intervention without imposing a very high cost. Who is behind this escalation? On one side, the Iranian military and political apparatus, with the Revolutionary Guard and Basij units trying to turn the fear of invasion into national mobilization. On the other side, the Trump administration, which is pressuring Tehran with military reinforcements and a peace proposal sent through Pakistan. According to Reuters and AP, this US plan has 15 points and includes demands about the nuclear program, missiles, and even control of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran, in turn, has taken a tougher stance in direct negotiations and presented a 5-point counterproposal demanding reparations and recognition of its sovereignty over the area. When this happens, it also helps explain the level of alarm. This Friday, March 27, 2026, Secretary of State Marco Rubio stated that the goals of the United States can be achieved without troops on Iranian soil, and that the operation could end in weeks, not months. But at the same time, he acknowledged that new troops are being sent to give the president room to respond to different scenarios. This mix of diplomatic discourse with military reinforcement is exactly the kind of signal that fuels Iran's mobilization campaign and sustains the narrative of total defense. Why does this matter so much beyond the battlefield? Why is that? Has the war already started to hit people's wallets and fuel instability in several nations? Reuters reported that gas prices in the European Union have risen more than 70% since the start of the war on February 28. And analysts interviewed by the agency warned that the price of a barrel of oil could soar even higher if Karg is hit. Meanwhile, the United Arab Emirates said they would be willing to take part in a multinational force to try to reopen Hormuz. This is a sign that the standoff has already become an international security issue and not just a confrontation between Iran and the United States. In the end, the situation is clear. What happened was a massive call-up announced by Iranian agencies amid fears of a United States invasion. The ones taking action are Iran's military and paramilitary power centers on one side and the Pentagon on the other, at a time when extra troops, ultimatums, and ceasefire proposals are crossing paths. And why? Because Tehran wants to deter a ground incursion, preserve its position over the strait, and show that any move by the United States could open an even more dangerous phase of the war.